tables. Should they be memorized, or just understanding the concept is enough? This debate has been going on for a long time in the education sector, and some early teachers do actually believe that just understanding the concept is enough, and that will be enough for the students to work out all the problems that they need to do. What is that concept? That concept basically is that if you got 3 chairs, so a chair plus another chair, that's basically the same as 3 chairs, 3 times chair. And why do we say 3 chairs? Because we have 3 of them, 3 of chairs. Yeah. So in fact, of is associated quite nicely with multiplication in mathematics. So if you have a £5 notes, and plus that you've got another £5 notes, and plus that you've got another £5 notes, that basically makes, these pictures are quite nice if you can develop it for your learners. It makes, so equal can be said in words as is or makes 3 times £5 notes. 3 fives. Why do we say 3 fives? Because we got 3 of them. 3 of £5 notes, right? So this concept of and times being quite closely associated with one another. So, if you wanted to, for example, find what 3 fives makes, you count in fives. You go 5, and another 5 makes 10, and another 5 makes 15. So that's the kind of concept that they work on. And they learn times table in that way. So if, for example, they count in 2s, that's the 2 times table. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah. And that's fine. At that early level of maths, that's fine. And also understanding this association between times and of is also quite nice, because you can then say, later on, you can say half of a watermelon makes half. And so that's actually half of this full watermelon. And this is what we learned about multiplication. So we can then have not only 3 watermelons, but we can have half of a watermelon. And so 3 of watermelon or half of watermelon. And both of them means times in mathematics. But why do I think that as much as this understanding this concept is essential for early learners of mathematics, but memorizing it is also important. The reason I think that is because when our learners reach a higher level of maths, then times table and such are just tools in their hands. Just imagine if you take your car to a mechanic who needs to fix a big problem in your engine, and then every time he wants to take a spanner as a tool in his hand, if he wants to take his spanner and use it, he has to think how to hold the spanner, how to adjust it, how to use it. But that just slows the whole process down. Not only slows the process down, it probably won't ever get done. So times table, in my view, is a tool in the hand of a mathematician at a higher level. So when they are dealing with a much more involved problem to solve, then taking parts of their brain power and brain processing power to then deal with something else, times table, and then go back to then think of the bigger picture of the problem at hand, it just doesn't work out. It's just like you trying to watch a movie, and at every frame you have to stop and think, what does that frame mean, and then move to the next frame. So the flow is taken out, and when the flow is taken out, then the story will never be understood. And so at a higher level maths, times table should be a tool, should be available instantly, shouldn't really take any processing power away from what needs to be dedicated to the actual problem or a question. So I do encourage learners to memorize times table, and I also encourage them not to memorize it in a very formal pattern, and so I shuffle them about, and this pattern that you see here, I've used it for quite a few years, and it gives them some sort of organization and also and a slight randomness in the way that they've been organized, and so it achieves both. But yet, when we are practicing it, we will, for example, say 2 9s, 2 8s, 2 7s. So we keep memory of that concept alive as we're practicing these. Each one of these tables the students need to be able to give you the answers in less than 10 seconds. If it's any longer than 10 seconds, it's not yet ready. And so it means, maybe playing a bit more games around it, trying to make some stories or some rhyming of some kind that helps them remember things. Some of these actually have some rhyming in them. For example, 6 6 36. 6 8 48. So there are some things in there that you can use to help them stand out a little bit. So therefore, they will be memorized. But the way that they've been organized is that to begin with, the very first timetable that they are learning, all of these items will be new, and this would be simple: 2 1s or 1 2. 1 of 2 or 2 of the 1s. That's just simple. So these are kind of things that they have to really focus on and speed up in it. And 4 18 6 16 8 14 10 12 2. That's the kind of speed that they will eventually reach. But if they reach less than 10 seconds, it's good. And when you go to the next table, that these are the new items, and these items are either covered in the previous table, so 3 times 2 is actually covered here, and 3 times 1 is the easy one. And so the top part of these tables are gradually getting smaller because the other ones have been done before, and again, so the new items to learn in each table becomes less to learn, which basically is quite an encouraging fact, because as you go along, these top part, it's just shrinking, isn't it? So by the time it gets to night timetable, it's only one of them to learn. So I do enforce the fact that everyone, especially at the early age, everyone should memorize the times table, and they should be able to recite them at a certain speed, and they should be able to answer them randomly if you just pick them at random. And these practices, it's a little bit tiring to begin with, but if it's made into a game, or if if you try and help them to become creative in the way that they will stand out a bit, for them to remember it using memory hooks and things like that, it just will eventually happen, and it should happen. It must happen if you really want your younger learners to perform better at maths. These kind of tools have to be learnt, to be processed very, very fast, or just remembered as abstract pieces of memory. But both is important. So in doing the tables, remember 2 things. One is the speed in how quickly they remember these and how they can recite the whole thing. 16, 36, 20, 32, 24, 28, 12, 8, and 4. So how fast they will recite them is important. It should be less than 10 seconds. And also don't forget that concept. So 4 6s, 4 7s. So it's 4 of the 7s. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video.